Hi, and welcome to the Bold Leadership Stories Show, where we talk about experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today is a first for me. I get to interview two guys at one time, and these two guys are amazing. They've got tons of energy, and they're doing some fantastic work, being an author and raising kids and doing all kinds of really beautiful things. So I'm excited to talk about them and their leadership and what their mission is in their life today, and keep it fun and real. So here we go from there. So let me read a quick little intro. We've got Devon. Which one is Devon?
That'll be me.
Devon. Okay, hi Devon. And then is it Giancarlo or Giancarlo?
Is Devon and Giancarlo.
Giancarlo. Devon.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Devon and Giancarlo. Okay. And these two gentlemen are a powerhouse, multidimensional couple and entrepreneurs with a heart for service through their gifts and talents. Yeah. So, and they have two thriving businesses. One is a new book that's just coming out. It's in pre-launch right now. It's called Icurus Finds His Power. And Devon Taylor's, it's his first book, right? So congratulations. We'll show a little bit of that. I've got that up on the screen in a bit. And then you're also the living water couple. And I'd like to hear more about that. See what that's all about. So you're raising Devon's 4 nieces and nephews, and you're in the process of adopting them. And that's exciting, I bet. And you've got Olivia, 16, Damon, 12, Tina, 8, and Noah, 7. That's a crew.
Oh yeah.
You have 6 dogs.
That's
Six dogs. I love dogs. I'm a dog person.
Yeah,
And
we
my
are too.
daughter's got, I think, 3 now.
Oh, nice.
Got
Yeah,
up to 5, I think. So
that's how we ended up with so many. Is we love animals, and we couldn't say no to all the puppies that we.
yeah. Oh, I get it. I get it. Oh, and you've got a cat too. and
Yeah.
and you live with Devon's mother, Tammy, in beautiful California. So you're in Southern California somewhere.
Yep.
All right, cool. And you believe this is only the beginning in your lives and your purpose. And you're inviting our audience here, if you're listening to this, let's take our power back in 2023. So tell me about that. What does that mean to you? Let's take our power back in 2023.
Yeah. So I've been on this writing journey for over. Man, it's been a lifelong thing, but just the whole process of writing Icurus Finds His Power was about a year and some change. And initially the idea came to me because we were trying to find a way to connect with the kids. And
okay. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. I've got your website up for
this book. Thank you so much. That's really cool. Yeah, they love to draw, and they had aspirations to be YouTube stars. And I've always wanted to be an artist myself. And so just to connect the dots, we thought of the idea of writing the book together.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it started. It had elements of being a rhyming children's book. And we, with the help of a publisher and, JC's persistence, we were able to change that to what it is now, which is a small chapter book for children and anyone that's just looking to empower themselves through the story of Icurus. And initially when I was writing the story, that idea wasn't so present, but as I went through the process with the publishing team, and even now more than ever, just looking back at it means so much to me, and just the direction we're going with our lives, with the children, and just everything that the website you just showed. It's been really remarkable to see us take our power back. So
tell me about how's that been reflected? What's the fruit of all that? I know it's a lot of work putting a book together, and you guys have really done a tremendous amount of I'm sure worrying and going through all kinds of changes and ups and downs and backwards and forwards. And this, it's you think it's just going to be a direct flight, but it ends up being all kinds of places to go.
Oh,
What did you
yeah.
learn during that process? And would you do it all again?
What did I learn through that process? First and foremost, how hard it is to write a book. That was, I think, the main thing I learned was that process was not easy. Putting yourself out there in such a vulnerable way where, people are looking at your work and critiquing it. And essentially, like I said, the book has changed so much from, the point of when we brought it to the publisher to where it is now. And that took a lot of self-reflecting to get through those moments of just, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I write? So yeah, it was very eye-opening, and it helped me, I think, just obtain the information I needed to really solidify what my purpose is here on this earth, and yeah, I found through a lot of work with practitioners and, just, writing the book, that my purpose in life is to spread love. So how ironic it is that I'm raising children. The book I wrote is essentially about, a boy's love for his mother. And all of this.
I read a bit of it. I got the synopsis from Amazon. You can put it up here. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Let me show that on Amazon. You guys have gotten it up there, so it's now available on Amazon, right?
Yep.
And you've got it up Brooks Bookstore, everywhere. So that's really cool. Yeah. And it's a great story. I mean, it's really well put together. You well thought out, and there's really. What was the biggest takeaway for you writing the book? Not the book, but for you.
The greatest. Wow, that's a good question. And man, I guess just being in these settings, it really calls to the experience, and what that really was like. I would say that I have more. What I learned about myself is that I have way more resilience than I think I give myself credit for, because like we were saying, through the process, it was hard. It was hard to write a book, keep it cohesive, stay on the message, and really just put something out that I feel like people would enjoy. So yeah, I found that resilience inside of me, and I've been on lives just talking about that inner strength, that power that I found from digging deep and just, pushing forward and not giving up. And that's really what I want everyone to take away from the book more than anything, is that if you have a dream of yours, or if you have something that you don't believe you can do, try it. You never know how far you can really get with it. And, this is where I'm at with the book. I feel so excited and so proud of what I've done. So
yeah, and I love the subject matter too. My girlfriend, she's a professional ballerina, and she's been through a bit in her life. She was adopted, and I've learned a ton about. She feels there's a sense of abandonment just from that. And there's also potential, things that have happened or might have happened to her even before she was born, the stress level of the mom and in the situation that she happened to be in. You don't know. Yeah. And you're coming into this world with maybe baggage already, yeah, that you don't know you have to deal with until later. And then if you're adopted, that's another potential sense of being abandoned. And it's just so difficult to as a normal, like I grew up in a normal family, what you consider normal, right? Mom, dad, my mom and dad were married. My dad passed away last year. He was 94. My mom's 93 right now, and they were married that whole time. What a blessing that was. But I didn't realize it until I'm in my 50s, Yeah. And so it's like taking that idea and just eliminating it from my life. If that never happened to me, and I still, even with that good upbringing, I still deal with things
Mm-hmm.
And having that power back and being in Icarus's place, it really gives me a sense of power. Lisa's writing her book now too, and she's going back through all of that, dredging all that back up again. And it's stressful, but it's also, I think she's learning from it.
Oh yeah.
She's doing it. So what would you recommend for somebody wanting to take that kind of project on?
I love that you said that and you connected it back to Icurus, because that's something that I think that not a lot of people realize is an issue, just being adopted or, being in the foster care system. And that was something I definitely wanted to touch on in the book, because that's part of Icarus's process is,
Yeah.
his mom not being there anymore and him having to adapt to being around a new parental figure, and how much that can really shift and change your life and your perspective on things around you. So my advice to her would be to completely embrace that process. It is so life-changing when you get past that point of just, what do I really want to say? When you get past that point of just holding on to things or not being able to express them the way you would want to, because you never know how you'll be received in the world. There's so many people that probably need to hear her story. So her writing a book is probably the most essential thing that she could do, not just for herself, but anyone that would want to hear her message. So I would highly encourage her to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, she's working on it, and she's going to be incorporating a ballet production on a stage with her book
Wow.
too. So it should be
I
fun.
love that. That's amazing. And that's something you don't see very often. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I
So
wanted to be a ballerino when I was a kid.
what's that?
I said I wanted to be a ballerino when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really did. I
Okay.
love art and just expression in many ways. And my father was like, no, that's for girls or for gay. And I was like, I'm already gay.
Well,
And I'm
you know
not a
what?
girl.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just a beautiful art form, and it'll kick your tail. I take her bar class, exercise class, and it's hard. It's hard. And like some of the people that have been famous, guys been famous doing ballet, like Barishnikov. You know, he wasn't gay, and he was a man's man.
Yeah.
So your dad's argument is just like that ain't true, and
Yeah,
it's
expression has nothing to do with gender.
no, doesn't have anything to do at all. So, I guess my point is, if you wanted to pursue that at this point, it's still open. Don't ever say that you can't do it.
Thank you for that reflection. And you were touching on a subject that I'm very, very passionate about, which is you were actually talking about generational trauma and trauma itself.
Yeah.
And trauma storage in our bodies and in our water bodies and in our DNA, because water has memory and our DNAs have memory. So if a generation hasn't dealt with the trauma that has been passed down from other generations, then we are carrying and passing that trauma until the next generation.
Right.
So that's one of my biggest focus for myself and Devon and our family. So we, like Coach Stormy says, we came here to break generational curses. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is to heal and integrate all the aspects of our consciousness that are fragmented because of trauma. Trauma is the stress in our consciousness. There is a part of us that when we experience that traumatic experience splits away from our consciousness, and then we suppress that aspect of ourselves in our subconscious mind, and we don't even know that our part is there hidden. For example, if I was born to be a ballerino, and because of that traumatic experience with my father, I suppress that part of me, then I may go to be like an engineer or something like that, when in fact the reality of my essence is that I was born to be a dancer. So if there is anybody that is watching or listening to this, I encourage you and make you the invitation to dedicate yourself to self-improving yourself. And one of the ways to do this is to heal your traumas. And there's, even though there's shame that is going to come up because of that, at the same time, there's no shame in that. And there's no more bravest thing. And one of the most powerful ways is to put ourselves back together again by doing that.
Yeah, beautiful. That's well said. It's so important. I started really dealing with that in my mid 50s. And, I wanted to, when you're a kid, my girlfriend, Lisa, bringing her up again, I love what she's doing because what her tagline is be unafraid to finally be you.
Oh, I love that.
And it just really, it hits home in so many ways. So it's so important for, I think the younger, the better. And that's why Icurus is so important. Your story is because you're starting that process at, 5, 6, 7 years old, or even younger, to start looking at who am I? How do I grow and be comfortable in my own skin with who I am, and be able to have strength enough to say, this is who I am, and to say, this is where I'm going to go, and not listen, say, I want to be, to your example, JC, if like I wanted to be a dancer, but somebody of influence in my life said no, but so you listen to that because you kind of had to. But when you got old enough, you could have said,
kind of did, because I would go into I discovered that one of my sisters had the passion for dancing.
Okay.
So I brought her to ballet, and she danced professionally for 8 years.
Wow.
And while doing her practices, I would watch and practice every single ballet routine that I could. So
well, that's great. I love watching ballet. So it's a beautiful art form. And I call it sport. I mean, it's brutal sport. It's when you get into the physicality of it, it's tougher to be a professional dancer, ballerino, than it is to play football professionally. I think there's more demands on your body and mentally too. So, so you guys together are taking on the world in some really big ways. And so, yeah, and I'm curious to see how you're girding your loins for this, because you've got this book, you've got the water, you've got this beautiful ideas about how to help the younger generation move into success with the proper mindset and fix the problems before they become serious issues. And that's a big tide to hit, to buck, so to speak. So how are you preparing yourselves to really be that force majeure in the world, put that message out in an effective way?
I think you would be good at answering this to start, and I can.
What's your vision?
That's a moment by moment thing. There's no book, there's no manual. I'm stopping myself from cursing because I curse a lot, but there's no freaking way.
You can curse. I don't care.
There's no fucking way that there's no manual. Like,
right.
Even before the interview, we just got a trigger, and Devon was getting angry. I was getting angry at him, and I just started breathing. And when you were asking, "How are you guys?" I wanted to say, "I'm angry."
That would have been funny.
Yeah, right. No, it is a work in progress. I mean, I don't think that we have anything by any means perfect on our end, but something that I realized when I was writing the book, and even as we've been doing the water business, something that I realized was the moment that I stopped. I stopped making it mean something was the moment I started to really like embrace the journey and just take everything for what it was and not necessarily be hung up on what I thought it was, or, you know, what was hurting me in that moment, or whatever the case may have been. Just not making it mean more than what it is.
And even that is a practice.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep yourself
Share.
in that flow?
What were you saying? Sorry.
How do you keep yourselves in that flow? Because it's hard enough being an individual going through this. You guys are a team, so it takes, I'm sure, a bit of a
practice. It's a daily practice. It's a moment by moment practice. It's a checking in with ourselves, and then the practice of checking in with each other. And in the moments that we want to freaking kill each other or scream or whatever, or the moments that we do scream at each other, we take some moments to be with ourselves. And for me, the understanding of how powerful it is to be aware of our nervous systems, to regulate our nervous systems through breathing, through grounding. One of my biggest tools is meditation. I'm a walking meditation. Like, I wouldn't even function without it. Like,
yeah.
What were you saying, Devon?
I was gonna say the same thing, meditation, but also take it a step further. The support system that we have around us that we've kind of built has really helped me, you know, in those areas where, you know, we are, you know, butting heads or not getting along in the, you know, the best way possible. I can go to my support system outside of him and really just, you know, talk and get support in that way. And that to me has been the biggest difference in, you know, realizing that the support is there and not is just leaning on it. So
we have actually and literally surrounded ourselves with mentors and coaches in every area, for trauma, for business, for finances. And when we need advice or we need to express something or we need support, we have our people and our support systems that we can rely on. Yeah. And like I've been programming in Devon and in myself, like support, until the moment that I start seeing that we start embodying it. And I was like, because there's no way that we can do it alone.
Yeah.
We need community.
You know, that's so important. And a lot of people miss that, I think. Because I relearned recently, relearning a lot these days, the three pillars of success. You know, I heard somebody say one was a plan. The second one are tools. And the third one is support. And a lot of people miss the support.
Yeah.
You know, they want to start a company or start an enterprise, and they say, oh, my plan is I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then they go off and they find, you know, they get their software and they get their computer and they get their, you know, whatever tools, and they're off. You know, and if they want to learn something, they go on YouTube and find a video to watch or something. And I think that's going to help them get through all this strife and stay on focus and target. And a lot of people miss because they don't take the time to think about, just like what you said, you've got support of, you know, all those different areas. When you think about them, are critical to success.
Absolutely.
And to have that resource available to work through the, you know, people who've been where you want to be.
Yeah.
And instantly have answers that you can use and that you trust. You can go into those modes, and so you don't end up in the weeds as much, and you actually get something done before you're 65.
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny you're saying that, because in every process, in every aspect of our life, we're leaning on support. With the book, it was leaning on the support of the publisher and the editor.
Right.
With the business, it's leaning on the support of our mentor. You know, with the kids, it's leaning on the support of each other and their grandmother. Like, every aspect of our life is thriving because we lean on the support system we have. So
and we are learning to lean on, because that's a work in progress.
true.
Because we have so many programs still that have been telling us our whole lives that you have to be independent and do it all alone, and you are powerful if you do it alone, and Superman, blah blah blah. Those are bullshit stories and programs that don't really serve us. I like this saying that says, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, let's go together.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's a really, really critical thing, I think, for leaders who are growing, learning, to take to heart, make sure that, because sometimes you say, well, I can do it all myself. It doesn't work. And so I'm proud of you guys for being humble and taking that. It seems like you're being humble, but it's not. It's actually being really smart.
Yeah.
And that's super intelligent, I think, to be able to surround yourself with the right people. It's critical.
If Oprah is Oprah and she has 5 mentors and she's a billionaire, who are we not to?
Hey, there you go. And it's like you pick any pro athlete, I don't care which one. Yeah, they've all got multiple coaches. Like Michael Jordan, I think at one point had 9 for professional basketball. Yeah, so it's all good. Let's see. Wow, time goes by really quick. What is it that, of all the decisions that you've had to make, and as a couple, as a team, as a family, as you're going through this journey, and you've incorporated not only your business but your relationship and your whole life into your mix, and you're living that all the time. It seems like it's one flow. There's no division. Like, you're not going to work somewhere, coming home and being a family like how I did it. You're like, this is all one thing happening over time, right? So help me understand a bit about that, and if you've had to make decisions during this flow, looking back, what were the most bold decisions? What was the one boldest decision you've had to make, and what were the consequences of that?
What was that for you, though?
I mean, for me, it would probably boldest decision. I mean, I think taking in the 4 kids was probably the boldest decision we did. Because prior to that, I had no experience being a parent.
How old were you when you made that decision?
Oh, I mean, it was a year ago.
Almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So I was 31.
Okay.
So yeah. And I mean, my mindset when, before we had taken them in was just me. I was just taking care of myself.
Like you always say, you and love.
You and me and my pit bull. It was just me and her. So, the responsibility that I had beyond myself was, not that great, but now I have a great responsibility to 4 children. So I feel like that was the biggest decision I've made in my life, and I'm proud of it. I'm very proud.
Oh, you should be. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
What was it that, kind of briefly, what led up to that decision for you? Was there a turning point?
I mean, we had already kind of known that they were in a situation that was not safe for them. And so me and
are they all from one family, or are they from different?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're all from the same family. They're all siblings. So they grew up together. And me and my mom had conversations prior. Even me and JC had conversations. I don't think as many as we probably wanted to before we got them, but we were preparing ourselves mentally to take on the role of being their guardians. And when everything just kind of fell through, and it was more so solidified that they needed somewhere to stay, it was just a no-brainer for us. There wasn't really much thought behind it. It was just kind of, okay, how do we do this? You know, how are we going to go about this? How are we going to make them feel comfortable? And we just started taking the steps that we needed to make sure that they came home with us. And that's really all I cared about at a certain point, was that they were with us, because um, you know, essentially they could have been split up, and that was not the plan, I don't think, for any of us. So I'm glad we were able to step up the way that we did, and, you know, be able to band together for them, because now they're in such a better place, and you can see it if you're around them. It's definitely evident.
That's great. And we had uh, took a foster son on. He was 6 months old. He had lung issues, and got kind of immersed for a couple of years in the foster system. And what a mess.
Mm-hmm.
What a mess that is. And what a blessing it was to be able to take him in and have him become part of the family for a little while.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful when that happens, and these children are so blessed when they're in those situations where they can find a home that, you know, offers so much care and love to them. So kudos to you for doing that as well.
It was definitely, I got a lot more out of it than anybody. So
yeah, you always do.
Really, really neat. And I wanted to see, you know, based on that decision of taking that on, what were the consequences of that for you, and how did you grow from that as a leader? Let me preface that, because the part of my mission with this show is to reach people of all levels of leadership, and I consider a leader being even a single parent,
yeah,
who's working a day job for minimum wage. You know, they're not the quintessential, you know, leader per se, but they are. They're leading their family, right? So what I'm looking for is, you know, how to help them, how to reach them as to become the leaders of their family, and step into that with enthusiasm and become that.
Man,
which you're doing. That. And I just totally, you know, awe of that. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah, that feels special when I hear it too, because I would say the majority of the time I don't take the time to really focus on how big this was for the kids, for myself, or anybody that was involved. It was,
yeah, you just step in and get it done because you know it's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean,
you're serving as an example. You're serving as a leader there. So for the purpose of this venue, I'd love to get some background on it and some flavor.
Yeah, no, that was definitely okay. So some of the consequences that happened with taking them in, obviously, you know, our life had to change a little bit because someone had to be here and present for the children. And me and my mom both worked jobs that were at least an hour away from where we were staying. So one of the conversations that we had early on was like, who's going to be home with them? You know, essentially like someone's got to be home. And so, she's 15 years into her career. She works at Disney, and she should be retiring this next year. And, you know, it was a few years ago, so she wanted to make sure that she retired with her good pension and whatnot. And so that was one of the conversations. If it came to it and we had to take the kids in, I would, you know, quit my job as a volleyball coach, which is something I had done my entire life. And I thought that was my career and what I was going to, you know, grow older doing. And it just, with the kids coming in, it didn't align anymore. And so I had to make the decision of.
That's a big thing. That's huge.
Yeah, it was really hard. And it was something that I definitely neglected at the beginning. But the more and more, just, you know, with them being here and things changing so fast, it just didn't make sense for me to be an hour away, my mom to be an hour away. And I mean, JC was here for support, but we just wanted to make sure that we were, you know, doing this together. So yeah, it was hard at first, but it was probably the best decision that I made. It didn't feel like that initially, but
that's bold leadership.
Yeah.
Boy, I got chills on my, this is so cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
A lot of fears, a lot of, oh my gosh, are we gonna have enough? How are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do that? So it was a moment by moment of validation or working through the feelings, feeling the feelings, of being present, of rewiring the limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
It has been a process of shifting the old story, because when I met him, he was working one job, he was working 3 jobs. And it has been a process for him, for me, for all of us. And like I always say, this is only the beginning. And because of doing the inner work again, that will be always the foundation for me, and I believe for us as well. We are tapping into more and more of who we are, and it was not easy, and it is not easy. I'm not here to paint a cute blah 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 picture, because that's not the reality of how life is.
Right.
And it's just tapping into our authentic selves.
Yeah.
And owning re-owning our suppressed and neglected, rejected, suppressed parts of ourselves that we buried in our subconscious minds because of trauma and fragmentation. And in the process of socialization, when we're growing up with parents that may have not be living in their authentic truth, then in order to be accepted by them, we abandon ourselves, and then we basically are clowns. And then life is like, you're so things, you can do better than that. So then we start being hit by different events and pain and traumas that if we don't choose it with our free will, we're going to choose it because of pain. And that's the contrast, the universal contrast of existence, to bring us back into ourselves and essentially take our power back and live our authentic truths again.
So insightful for guys that are your age to see that and actually be taking really positive, direct action towards helping not only you yourselves to prosper and blossom, but you're willing to share your experiences as you're going through it in your journey. And that's really beautiful. I love that. I'm reminded of a book I read a long time ago. A gentleman named Gary Smalley. He wrote a book called The Blessing, and it's all about what you're working on, is taking that generational, like when he wrote his book, it was about alcoholism, and that alcoholics tend to be in alcoholics, raise alcoholics, right? But the blessing is stopping that activity. It doesn't have to go generation to generation. Somebody has to stand up and say, this isn't going to happen again, and make the changes and confront the issues and stand up to the fear and all of the negativity, because it's a lot easier to go in and do what everybody else has done in the past and be how, the comfortable way. And you're not doing that. And you're being, I think, true leaders in that regard. So good on you. Good on you. Good examples for everybody to watch and see. And I'm looking for really great things from you.
Thank you.
No pressure. But I just see that happening. I mean, you guys, it's just your
what
you want to do. Huh?
I said, we won't disappoint you.
Yeah, I know you won't. It's really exciting. So any last words? We're almost out of time. And so if you got any last thoughts about bold leadership, and
say yours, and I'm going to share mine that I have right here.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just, I hope that anyone that gets an opportunity to read the book, Icurus Finds His Power, is empowered themselves. Really, I just wanted to spread the message of love and understanding through a story that is close to my heart and something that I feel like I crafted for the majority. So yeah, thank you for having us. I really do appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, Icurus finds his power. It's a great story. It's really heartwarming and well written, I think. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. And before the interview or conversation podcast, whatever you want to call it, started, I pull a card called the Sea Souls Oracle cards.
Uh-huh.
The message is courageous.
Oh, right.
And it says, may each breaking wave build your courage. And then it has a mantra, and the mantra says, I face fear with compassion and claim my path. I face fear with compassion and claim my motherfucking path.
All right. Woo! Right. I love it. Nice. Well, thank you both for spending some time with me on the show. And it was really great, went really quick. And you blessed us with some beautiful insight, and your story is amazing. So
thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
we would love to come back again soon and just update you on how it's going.
Yeah, oh, I'd love it. That'd be great. Love it. Absolutely. We'll plan that again. So
Thank
you all
you.
have an awesome rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Take care, Jim, and your audience.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.